Hey Sona,
So I think I have been made admin for this meeting. Few people are waiting in the lobby. Shall I allow them to enter the meeting?
So please give us a moment. We'll only
Yeah.
allow them.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir. We're just waiting for a few more to join, and then we shall start.
Okay, madam.
Yes, thank you.
Hello?
hello.
Hello. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
सा डर लगता था, बट फाइनली अब मैं 6-7 साल से लिनक्स पे खेल रहा हूँ, तो ये मुझे बहुत ही इजी लगता है। अगर आप ये वाला लेसन
I think you all can start. It's time up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the permission. Hello and a warm welcome to one and all. Respected Principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar, Distinguished Resource Person, Dr. Kiran Kumar Nitalli, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Satisha MP, Convener and Head, Department of English, Shri H.N. Bannur, all the learned delegates, staff and students. I'm Ms. Divya Parulekar, Assistant Professor in English, your host for the day, extends a hearty welcome to all to this national webinar on essential skills for effective communication, organized by the Department of English in association with IQAC. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. Communication skills may take a lifetime to master, if indeed anyone can ever claim to have mastered them. Being able to communicate effectively is perhaps the most important of the life skills. It's never too late to work on our communication skills, and then by doing so, we may improve our quality of life. Hold on with us to know more on this. To begin with, I request Shri H.N. Bannur, Assistant Professor, Convener, Head, Department of English, to welcome the audience.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected Principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar, Resource Person of the Day, Dr. Kiran Kumar Nitalli, and all my dear learned colleague participants and student friends. A very good afternoon to one and all. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to welcome you all present here to the national webinar on essential skills for effective communication, organized by Department of English in association with IQAC of KLE Society's Raja Lakhamagouda Science Institute Autonomous Belgavi. Firstly, I would feel proud to welcome to resource person of the event, Dr. Kiran Kumar Netali, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Presidency University, Bangalore. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and being with us today. I, on behalf of management, principal, staff, and students, and I, on behalf of all the participants, I heartily welcome you, sir. Welcome you, sir, to the virtual event. Now, I extend a very sincere warm welcome to Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar, Principal, KLE Society, Raja Lakhamagouda Science Institute Autonomous Belgavi. Welcome you, ma'am. I am very happy to welcome Dr. Satisha MP, IQAC Coordinator and Life Member, KLE Society, Belgavi. Welcome you, sir, to the event. I also welcome my colleague, Ms. Divya Parulekar, and Organizing Secretary of this event. Welcome you, ma'am. I would also welcome technical support, Srimati Priyanka Kamath, Department of Computer Science, and Srimati Pooja Medavaki, Department of Botany. Welcome you, ma'am, both. Finally, I welcome faculty members, student delegates from different parts of the country for participating in this event. Once again, I welcome everyone on behalf of our institution, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, one and all. Over to you, Divya, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I now request our beloved principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar, ma'am, to address the audience.
Thank you, madam. Very good afternoon to everyone. As a principal of college, myself, Dr. Jyoti S. Kavlekar, I am really very delighted to welcome you all to the national webinar on the topic Essential Skills for Effective Communication, organized by Department of English in association with IQAC of our college. A few words about our society. Our KLE Society, well known for the dissemination of quality education to the needy, was established in the year 1916 by 7 dedicated teachers called Saptarishis. Presently, under the progressive and spectacular chairmanship of Dr. Prabhakar Kore sir, our society has grown into a remarkable educational organization. KLE Society's RL Science Institute Autonomous Belgavi, committed to the cause of science education, has traversed a long journey with its own glory since 1935, and degree section in science was inaugurated in the year 1944 by Sir C.V. Raman, the Nobel laureate. We are accredited thrice by NAAC at A grade and our autonomous institute since 2013. We offer 2 UG programs, that is BSc and BCA with different certificate courses. And we have 3 PG programs, MSc Physics, MSc Chemistry, and MSc Mathematics. Yeah, as you all know that along with quality education, the higher educational institutions play an important role in development of individual and society, laying foundation of a strong nation. And we also know that today's youth is tomorrow's wealth. So we also focus on life skills-based education that leads to overall personality development of our stakeholders. Life skills enable individuals to take adaptive and positive behavior that makes them able to deal with the events and challenges of everyday life and to participate in the modern world full of new challenges. Every life skill is of great importance that must be taken care of by developing it for the individual. There are a variety of life skills such as problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, creative thinking skills, interpersonal skills, and I think among them, communication skill is the most important of all. Developing your communication skills can help all aspects of your life, from your professional life to social gatherings and everything in between. In this context, Department of English, in association with IQAC of a college, has organized today's national webinar on the topic Essential Skills for Effective Communication. We have a very eminent speaker amidst us for this webinar, Dr. Kiran Kumar Netali, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Presidency University, Bengaluru. Sir, on behalf of our management, all the participants, entire faculty and student community, and my own behalf, I welcome you to today's national webinar and also thank you for accepting our invitation to grace the occasion. I extend a warm and a hearty welcome to all the esteemed participants of the webinar. Hearty welcome to all the esteemed members of the management. I also welcome Professor Nanjapnar, Life Member and Member Secretary of KLE, Dr. Satish MP, IQAC and NAT Coordinator of a college, and also Life Member and Member Secretary of KLE. Welcome to the entire organizing team, all my staff and the students. Yes, the ability to communicate information accurately, clearly, and as intended is a vital life skill and something that should not be overlooked, as rightly Divya Madam said. It's never too late to work on your communication skills. And by doing so, you may well find that you improve your quality of life. As rightly said by Anthony Robbins, quality of your communication is the quality of your life. So with this, wishing you all the best once again. I welcome you all and thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful wishes and appreciation.
Yes.
Now I request Srimati Pooja Melvanki, Assistant Professor in Botany, to introduce the resource person.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all present for the virtual national webinar on essential skills for effective communication. It is indeed a special privilege and a great pleasure to introduce our today's resource person and eminent speaker, Dr. Kiran Kumar Nitali, sir. Sir has pursued his master's from KLE Societies, Lingaraj College, Autonomous, Belagavi. He has obtained PhD degree in English from Center for English Studies, Central University of Jharkhand, Ranchi, which was established by an Act of Parliament of India. Dr. Nitali is KSET qualified and was awarded the Research Fellowship from UGC New Delhi for pursuing research from the year 2012 to 2016. He has taught English language, communication skills, business English, and English literature for various courses and is having a professional experience over 10 years in various reputed institutions. He has presented several papers at national and international conferences, and several articles of research by him are published in international journals. Currently, Sir is working as an assistant professor, Department of English, Presidency University, Bangalore. With this brief introduction, I present before you all Dr. Kiran Kumar Nitali, sir. On behalf of management and institution, once again, I welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If the participants have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box or the comment section. We shall bring them up at the end of the session. Now, without further ado, let's get started. I request Dr. Kiran Kumar, sir, to take over the session.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir.
I feel honored to speak at the national webinar organized by RLS Institute of Science, Autonomous, Belagavi. I owe a lot to KLE Society because KLE Society is my alma mater, where I pursued my master degree in English 2007 to 2019, first autonomous batch of MA English program. So today I'll be speaking on importance of effective communication, essential skills required for effective communication. So when Mr. Banur and Mr. Natraj approached me, sir, you have to do a session on effective communication. Immediately I agreed, and we discussed on various topics. The later I came to know the kinds of courses being offered at KLE's RLS Science Institute: BSc, BCA, MSc, MCA program. So hardcore literature programs are not offered because it is a science institute. We decided to have a session on essential skills for effective communication. So as I said, it is my institution. I'm product of Kelly Society. I'm extremely honored to speak today at the national webinar. So let us come to the topic of this webinar: essential skills required for effective communication. As already Divya Madam introduced and Principal Madam briefed, communication skills are very important. We're all human beings, rational human beings. We communicate. Do we communicate effectively? We have to ask question ourselves. Everybody communicates, but effective communication is something different. And undergraduate students in science who will be working in corporate world, who will be working in industry, they have to improve their communication skills. Considering all these, factors, we stick to this topic and decided to have a session. So let me share my PPT with you. We can start with a wonderful quote by Robert Frost. I hope in an undergraduation program, you must have studied Robert Frost's seminal poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, or Road Not Taken. Everybody is familiar with Robert Frost. I have come across a wonderful quote by him, so which suits today's topic. I would like to begin with that quotation, and then we can go ahead and discuss various aspects of effective communication. Give me 10 seconds. I'll be sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Sorry. Essential skills. Yes. So please, all of you, read this quote. Half the world is filled with the people who have something to say and can't say it. The other half of people who have nothing to say and keep on saying it. So we have two categories here. The first category, they're hesitant, they're struggling to communicate because they don't have essential skills for communication. The other category, they keep on saying something, but they don't have any content. So what is important here? So effective communication is important. It's not a communication. In today's session is not on a communication because everybody communicates. We are rational human beings. We know how to articulate thoughts and how to communicate. We communicate with our friends. We communicate with our family members. But are we communicating effectively? We need to ask this question ourselves. So I thought Robert Frost, these lines are relevant for today's session. I thought of beginning with this quote, a wonderful quote by Robert Frost. So effective communication, all of us communicate now. Now communication is very simple. Global communication is easy. Keys on the computer, buttons on the telephone, and anytime, anyhow, anywhere, everybody is communicating. In digital world, look at this platform. So I am sitting in Bellary district now at my native, and participants from Assam, my friend, assistant professor Bhupen Rabba joined the meeting. So we're communicating now through various platforms. It is keys on the computer, buttons on the telephone, but is it always effective? we have to ask this question ourselves. So there is a world of a difference between communication and effective communication. There's a world of a difference. The difference lies in the gap between what the person meant to say and what the receiver understood. Okay, person wants to say something, intended message is something, whether the receiver is taking it as it is, or he's not able to understand what exactly the message he received. So the effective communication is very important. Communication forms the basis of our lives. As I said, we communicate our thoughts and our feelings to family and friends and colleagues, even strangers. Every hour of every day we communicate. Communication is an exchange of ideas, thoughts, feelings between two or more entities. But we cannot not communicate. The God has bestowed this skill to human beings, articulating thoughts and in presenting it in a language, coherent way. So we cannot not communicate. We have to communicate. So if we remain silent, also we communicate, right? So the effective communication is very important. And ineffective communication. So ineffective communication, it leads to fraught with misunderstanding, my dear friends, and does not convey the intended message. I'm not talking about the proficiency of English language. Some people, those who have convent educated, they have very good proficiency of English language. They write very well. It doesn't mean that their communication skills are very effective. They are good at English language, but they don't know how to use it. Does not convey the intended message. If it is ineffective, it will not convey the intended message. Let's say I want to speak today on effective communication. If my information or my speech, if it doesn't reach to students and participants, then as a speaker, I would fail. As a listener, you would fail, and the communication does not take place. One of the biggest causes of frustration, dysfunctional personal relationships, stagnant organization, and even war between countries. Can you imagine? Ineffective communication would lead to war between countries. We have experienced war. That's the reason both the parties sit together and they try to resolve the issue whenever border issues arises. So this is how ineffective communication is fraught with misunderstanding. It ruins your personal relationship and stagnant organization. So it has very, very severe consequences. So why is effective communication important then in the contemporary world, what we call it corporate world, or present scenario? The man is a social animal. And the communication is vital for his survival. We have to communicate now. I would guarantee if a graduate who is well-versed in communication skills, if he comes to Bangalore, he can make his career. Not only in Bangalore, in emerging cities. If we are unable to communicate, we become frustrated. I have seen this amongst many people, even amongst my colleagues. When they don't communicate, then they feel frustrated and unhappy with our work. We're not satisfied ourselves because our goals and the goals of others are not met. Look at that. So we need to improve our communication skills. So effective communication is about making our communication worthwhile and achieving the desired results. Right? Everybody has this when they communicate. When I teach in the class, I expect students should understand. I have a desired result. I should get a good feedback. My students should get information. So I have that desired results. A difference in communication skills are strong predictors of an individual's success, whether in a society or at work. You must have people in your own organization who have exceptionally a very good communication skills. They are respected because India is emerging country. India is emerging country, and here we have to communicate very well, and they are respected. They will get a promotion. They are the strong predictors of an individual's success. It could be in the society or it is at your workplace. And towards you, the perception changes. Effective communication ensures a positive self-image. You feel that when you communicate well, you feel yourself very proud. Oh, I have communicated very well. Allows us to command respect from others, to have a healthy and successful relationship, even in your personal relationship. Okay, it could be personal relationship or your professional relationships. Effective communication ensures what positive self-image. So that's the reason effective communication is very important. When it comes to communication process, I hope in CBCS choice-based credit system, RLS Institute must have already, adopted. They must have included communication course as a, course in their syllabi. And here, the communication channel, you must have come across this process. I don't want to brief it. I don't want to give, elaboration on this process. The sender encodes the message and receiver receives it. And after that, the sender expects, feedback, right? And we expect a feedback from the, receiver. When we get a feedback, it could be verbal or a gesture, then communication has taken a place. Encoding message. So when you encode, a lot of issues are there. I don't want to discuss everything because you need to understand your, audience, education level, and whom you are communicating, and which society they belong. The cultural aspects of your, the audience, everything. As an encoder, you have to have a clear idea about your audience. If you don't understand your audience, the receiver, then it's very difficult to encode the message. If I communicate with a person from, somebody who belongs to a different culture, I should have a, superficial knowledge of their culture. Then I would reach him. So especially in the corporate world, they would teach all these cultural differences, how to overcome cultural differences when we communicate with people, different cultures and different countries, because the global world, everybody is connected now. So those things would be trained at later stage. So now the deciding factor is feedback. What distinguishes good and effective communication from its poor and ineffective counterpart? The desired response or a feedback. This is what the sender hopes to invoke in the receivers after initial communication. I'm trying to invoke that. At the end of the session, definitely I want to take your questions. If you have any observation, if you have any queries in your mind, because I'm trying to invoke that as a encoder. So it could be an acknowledgement, action, or verbal reply, which is important. Feedback, it means that they're not interested in listening to you or not receive your message. You can make out usually through the body language. When you communicate with people, just pay attention to their body language. You would understand whether the person is interested in listening to your message or not. If he has some different bodily gestures, then easily you can make out he's not getting what you're trying to convey. So feedback helps to carry the transaction forward towards more meaningful, more effective communication. Using a verbal, non-verbal feedback from the listener can guide the speaker's communication and make the listener more receptive to the message. So deciding factor is what? Feedback. This is what we expect. Even in the classroom, I hope most of the teachers also have joined today. We try to get a feedback from students as soon as we finish the class, 10 minutes. Why? That is your confidence. As a speaker, you improve your verbal communication skills. So components of effective communication, I want to put it in this way. KISS. Keep it short and simple. Keep it short and simple. Do not use extensive, impressive vocabulary for desired results. You have, desired results. For example, when you teach for undergraduate students, you should know their IQ level as a teachers. And the students, when you communicate with somebody, you should know your audience very well. So I have an example here. If you want to say, I use my fork to eat a potato, anybody can understand. And it's the correct way of telling. And a person who has average proficiency of English would understand. I used my fork to eat a potato. So if you say, I utilize a time tool to process a starch resource, do you think it would reach the audience or the receiver who is receiving your message? It creates confusion. Again, it depends on his education level, right? Sometimes when I listen to Mr. Shashi Tharoor, I get confused. I start thinking myself, have I done PhD in English? Because his vocabulary is very rich, right? His vocabulary is very rich. I would not suggest you to speak in his way, but we should understand our audience very well. Effective communication is not all about using impressive vocabulary or extensive vocabulary or using technical terms and the jargons, and it's very difficult. So I attended one webinar in the last week. I thought because machine learning is field in the engineering and technology, and I wanted to know about machine learning because I'm purely from humanities background, from 11th, 12th, and BA in English and BA, MA in English. I never studied science after my 10th. I was curious to know what exactly it is. But the resource person used so much technical terms, I did not understand. Later, I went to Google and I found some answers, Google reviews, and understood the concept. Because we should know when we interact with people from different background, how to make the content simple to everybody. Layman should understand. Okay, we as a teacher, when I teach sonnet number 116 to BCom and BSc students, my methodology is totally different. I will not make it so hard for my students because my desired result is what I want to teach them language through poetry. I want to teach them English language through fiction. I don't want to teach them literature and some rhetoric devices used in the poetry. I don't want to teach that. That I will do it in BA literature classes. Because you should understand your audience very well, right? If I used words like, bourgeois, proletariat, what we use in critical theories, and my friend Sudha is here, we all had done critical theories, a Marxist theory. In a general conversation, I want to talk about the bureaucrats, but instead of that, I would say, bourgeois. When I want to talk about the labor class people, if I use the word proletariats, and the audience will be confused. So I should not use such words, right? So I have to refrain from using, literary terms when I communicate with the people or students like you who are from different sections. That's the components of effective communication. Do not use extensive or impressive vocabulary. You can improve your vocabulary, but understand your audience very well, which is very important. The next components of effective communication: conviction and confidence. It's not just the contents of the speech, but also the way it is put across that makes the difference. It's not only the content everybody has, right? When we interact, or when, especially in the seminars, especially in the webinars, or especially in the classroom for teachers, we have a content, we study, we prepare PPTs. It's not important about the content. Of course, you have to gather information, but how it is put across. Why I'm taking, example always as a classroom, because I always experiment that in the classroom. So that makes the difference, how you convey that to your students. Unless you are convinced and confident about the message, It will fail to evoke any confidence in the receiver. The receiver will not take. And you feel that. We all feel that when we don't deliver our lecture properly, at the end of our session, we feel very bad. I hope every teacher feels it. When it is very good, your confidence increases. So you have to be very confident. So you have to understand the topic thoroughly yourself first. If you are not confident about the message yourself, it will fail to evoke any confidence in the receiver. And it applies in different contexts. I am taking only the classroom context because I'm accustomed to taking classes and experimenting all these strategies in the classroom teaching, because we deal with engineering students and the MBA students, and we teach them effective communication, technical written communication, like that, a technical spoken communication. So, which is very important, conviction and confidence. This one more very important component is enthusiasm. You have to be. And if you look at IT people, how they communicate, I hope you must have visited some companies like IBM or Infosys. By chance, if your relatives or your friends working there, how they communicate. Any communication which indicates eagerness and just is sure to succeed. Enthusiasm indicates involvement which inspires confidence in receiver. And it inspires confidence in receiver. If you're not eager, if you don't have the zeal to communicate, then the receiver will not take it seriously. You must have seen the famous orators. They're always alert, and they're always attentive, and they maintain enthusiasm postures, and mannerisms signify action and enthusiasm. I hope undergraduate students and the master's students, the faculty members of English, you must have seen a dictator movie, right? English movie, where Charlie Chaplin gives a speech on humanity. Oh my God, wonderful speech. You have to see his, mannerisms and his posture and his body language, eye movement. It is so apt. Okay. And if you're from English background, you must have studied Julius Caesar, Mark Antony's speech. Friends, Romans and countrymen, lend me your ears. Oh my God, he changes, people perception. If you listen to Steve Jobs' famous speech at the Stanford University, convocation, stay hungry, stay full. You can see their body language. If you want to listen, I would give you one more example. Mary Fisher on Whisper on AIDS. So the great people, the great speeches, you have to see their mannerisms, how they're alert, attentive, and how they maintain enthusiastic postures. So which is very important, my dear friends, components of effective communication. And the respect. And we often, we fail to give a respect. It is imperative that we respect the people we are communicating with. You have to respect. Otherwise, they would not listen to you. We all have our own sense of self-esteem, expect to be treated with a courtesy and politeness. So if you don't respect your listener, they would not listen. So these are all important components of effective communication. You should know how to maintain all these, important components, or how to inculcate all these components in your communication. The next topic I would like to touch, because it's a 1 hour session, and I cannot take a session on writing skills. If you want me to have one more session, we can have it later. And because it involves so many things in writing, I would touch one more, listening skills. We are given 2 ears, but only one mouth. We are given only 2 ears, but only one mouth. Have you thought of it? Why God has given 2 ears and one mouth? Because God knew that listening was twice as hard as talking. And we don't listen. We don't listen, we hear only. It's like, even it happens in my especially when I science students and commerce students, literature, when we introduce a text, they would nod their head, right? They lean forward, they contract their eyes, but they don't listen. They pretend as if they are immersed in listening, but they don't listen. So we don't have this habit of listening. We always, hear. Hearing is like a thunder and lightning, my dear friends. It's like a thunder and lightning. You hear something, you forget it. But listening is not like that. Listening is a process. So I will give you an example. When I joined Lingraj in 2007, I think in our class, we were only 3 students who have come from Gadag and Bellary, all these backward districts where we don't have milieu of English. And we found it extremely difficult to cope up with our friends who studied from elite schools in ICAC, CBSE. We're all from Kannada medium, typical medium schools. We found it extremely difficult first initial 3-4 months. Later, they're all very good. They helped us, in fact. But we found it extremely difficult. I want to take a name today, my professor, Dr. Gurudevi Huliapna Mat, who encouraged you have that potential. You have that, zeal and urge to learn. And because of that, today I have reached this level. I have not achieved, something great, but somehow, I managed to complete my PhD and get into in a university as a full-time teacher. So because we worked, whenever we get a time, we used, maximum first batch, we used language laboratory of Lingraj College. So on all 3-4 of us, we are well settled. We all have a good, jobs now. So I want to take Madam's name because of her inspiration and because of her encouragement, it happened. So it is also very important. See, hearing and listening, you should know how to distinguish hearing and listening. Most of us do not realize difference between hearing and listening. And in our life, the common allegation we hear is, why don't you listen? Right? Most of the students have joined this webinar. So the common allegation, what is that? Your teachers would say, why don't you listen? So why don't you listen? Your parents would tell, your friends would tell. This is the common allegation everybody hears in our life. Why don't you listen? You should have listened to me. This problem would have not happened. But we human beings, we don't listen, we only hear. So we have to improve our listening skills. As I already given an example of teaching literature in science classes. So the students, most of us, everybody, we have developed this deceptive listening. Deceptive means, and we cannot say if somebody is a passive listener, I can identify he's not interested through his gestures and body language. If he's a deceptive listener, and he would lean forward, he nod his head continuously, and he contract his eyes, and as if he's appeared immersed in deep listening, while being shallow or superficial listeners. So it is very difficult. It's very difficult to identify such listeners. So don't mastery over this art of deceptive listening. It happens in the meeting also. Even in staff meeting, some people they would say yes, but they don't do anything. So if you mastery over this, and you will miss out vital information if you're a deceptive listener. If you don't get it properly, you have to stop. At least you have to allow the speaker to complete, and you have to ask him once again. Otherwise, you will miss out information and the communication fails. So one of the major skills in effective communication is the ability to listen very well. Okay? Effective communication involves 50% more listening than talking. I hope all the students are interested in taking IELTS examination. If you want to go for abroad, for higher education or for jobs, so you have to take up IELTS or TOEFL examination, and you have to crack. You should have at least 6.5 percentile. In Germany they accept, but in England, in America, they want more. I mean, around 7 or 8 percentile. So there they would test your all the 4 skills. They would test your 4 skills: writing, speaking, okay, all the 4 skills, LSRW, speaking. So, and the listening is also very important, that there you have a 25 marks for listening skills. So effective communication involves 50% more listening than a talking. Listener is not just paying attention to the other person's words, but also to his tone and facial expression and body language. Right? We have this habit of teachers in virtual classes. I mean, turn off, our cameras and we teach them. So it would not reach. And it is in our institution, it is mandatory. We have to turn on camera when we teach, when content is delivered. Otherwise, there is no point. So, because why? But it helps a listener to pay attention to your body language and person's words and his facial expression. That helps them to understand very well. If you are habituated to, turning off your camera and delivering the content, please stop doing it. It doesn't serve any purpose. So effective listening is very important, and erase preconceived ideas that might cause us to miss out on a vital information. Preconceived ideas. Oh, I know about that person. If you have such preconceived ideas, so you will miss out vital information. So you should not have preconceived ideas when you listen. You have to be very patient and you have to listen to him. And once he completes, then you have to ask if you have any queries. And pay complete attention first. This is what I teach for my MBA students. And they come from very good schools and the colleges. And they fail to get into a good company because of their communication skills, problem with communication skills. This is what we get every year. We get an industry feedback, what exactly industry wants. And the first, the reason they mention is the students are very good at subject knowledge, but communication skills are not up to the mark. This is the feedback every year we get. So pay complete attention to the person. Don't think ahead as to what you are going to say next. Don't think ahead as to what you are going to say next. Don't think about it. So somebody is speaking and you are thinking something else. I have to, mention. I have to say something. Don't rehearse your own comments while other is speaking. This is very bad habit, I would say. Some people don't have listening skills at all. What they do, they keep on rehearsing their own comments. Other person is speaking, they are keep on rehearsing their own comments. It doesn't serve any purpose, my dear friends. So these are the essential points you should remember. And listen for feelings underneath the words and to the nuances in language. Right? Listen for feelings underneath the words. Listen, you would understand. And the feelings underneath the words. And the nuances in language. And read body language. That's why listening, you have to read body language. Keep an open mind, don't judge immediately. We judge people immediately as soon as we initiate, conversation. We start judging people. We never allow other person to complete. Don't do that. Keep an open mind. Everybody is unique in this world. Everybody is very good. And they have, unique qualities. Encourage the speaker to continue clarifying what's being said. Encourage the speaker to continue clarifying what's being said if necessary. Encourage them. This is how you can improve your listening skills. So when it comes to LSRW skills, we give a least important to listening skill. We think that, we can listen. But I'll tell you, when it comes to language learning, listening plays important role, rather pivotal role in language learning. Listening. That's the reason BBC, you have to see BBC's, conversation. So then you would improve. Sorry, I got a call. Sorry. This is one more very important, factor. Active listening is when the receiver listens to not only what has been communicated, but also how it has been communicated. Active listening. It's not only the receiver would give importance to what has been communicated. He would also think how it has been communicated. Passive listening, when the listener only listens to half the message and ignores the subtext, that's getting incomplete information. It happens in the classroom. Some students, you would ask a question and they would give abrupt answer, half answer. They're not able to answer your question. Passive listening. So active listening makes the other person feel loved and cared for. That encourages, active listening encourages speaker to communicate very well. See, communication is not about using flowery language. Okay, it's not about using extensive vocabulary. It's about, conveying intended message. Conveying intended message. So you have one message and he should get it. If you understand that, you will improve your listening skills. Remember, if the message does not get through, two people have failed, the speaker and you as an active listener. Okay, if message does not reach, then as a speaker you failed, and the other person as an active listener, he would fail. So you have to be very careful. 10 discrete skills for empathetic listening. I'm telling you, I'm using the word empathetic listening. Okay, empathy, I need not to give explanation of that. You have to be empathetic listening. You have to improve these skills. What is that? The first one is attending and acknowledging when you listen. Okay, restating and paraphrasing when you speak. Reflecting, interpreting, summarizing, synthesizing, probing, giving feedback, supporting, checking perception, being quiet. So these 10 discrete skills for empathetic listening. If you, use all these skills when you listen and you understand the concept very well. Okay, so this information I have retrieved from this a wonderful book, Communication. So the next one is a non-verbal communication, which is very important. We call it meta communication also. NVC was very important. Body language, your body language, your gestures, your posture, expressions, mannerisms. Everything is very important if you want to get into corporate world. And now every sector is like a corporate world now. Even education industry is also like that. We want that ambience, we want that environment in the organization. So the bodily gestures, the postures, and the facial expression by which a person communicates non-verbally with others. The body language is an important part of communication that constitutes around 55% of what we are communicating. If the one wishes to communicate well, then it makes a sense to understand how one can use one's body to say what one means. Okay, it plays a very important role. Listening, you have to develop. Okay, it's a process, as I said, and the body language is also very important. When we teach for MBA students, business communication, and here we have one complete chapter on nonverbal communication. Okay, so why it is very important? In the body language here, I have made a column here. The first column is the movement and the part of the body and the action and the effect. And so easy for the participants to understand. And I have taken only a few examples. There are many. If I want to give a lecture on body language, it takes another 2-3 hours. So very important gestures and the actions that I have included here. The movement is the limbs. The part of the body is the fists, and the action is tightly closed. Look at that. Tightly closed fist. What does it mean? It is a tension and anger. Look at that. So when in a verbal communication, we use a language to communicate. But here it's the same. You can communicate your feelings through body language. Look at that. If your limbs and the fist part of the body, tightly closed fist under a chin, what does it mean? It is an appraisal. Vigorous hand movements, it shows what? Emphasis. The body language. We are not communicating. We are not using our language, but our body is communicating with you. Okay? And look at this. The next call. The movement. We have taken here facial. Part of the body is eyebrow. If it is raised, what does it mean? Surprise or interest. Look at that. If eyes are contracted, mild irritation. We do that when we communicate. When we disagree, we say, not possible. Mild irritation. So eye contact, proper eye contact, you should not have that shifty eye contact. Many people have that. They cannot, maintain proper eye contact. Even I had this problem, but I have overcome long back. Because that enhances your confidence. Eye contact. Eye contact, it shows hesitation. You're not confident enough when you communicate. It shows you're hesitant to communicate. You're not communicating through your words, through your language, but your body is communicating. Especially when we confront all these, higher officials, especially when you go to Principal Ma'am's chamber, what do? Most of us, what we do, because we become aware of, we are interacting with the Principal Madam, then you would not listen what ma'am is telling to you, because you give importance to her position, and then you say, yes, ma'am, and you never pay attention to what exactly ma'am is trying to tell you. So you should not, face all these problems, overcome all these problems. When you want to communicate, go confidently, interact with higher officials. Otherwise, the information because of the position, and what do? You listen half message. That would lead to the problem later. So you should have a proper eye contact. Otherwise, you're hesitating. And especially in the corporate world, the people are very, I would say they're particular about body language. If you have shifty eye contact, they would say the person or the candidate doesn't have a confidence. So this is how they interpret. Please overcome all these problems. And the facial, a part of the body, lips. If it is curling downward, displeasure, right? Curling downward. If it is tightly closed, disapproval. Curling upward is a pleasure, right? Curling upward is a pleasure. The body posture, leaning forward is deep interest. You're not communicating. If you lean forward, it shows that somebody is very interested and they're listening to you. So this is how the body language is very important. Most effective method of conveying any message is by making eye contact with your listeners, maintaining a good posture and keeping your body and facial relaxed. Sorry, it pop up because somebody has scheduled a class in the Teams. Even I have a class at 3 o'clock. It pops up, sorry for that, a Teams notification. So most effective method of conveying any message is by making eye contact with your listeners, maintaining a good posture, and keeping your body and facial features relaxed. Avoid certain gestures, wringing your hands, we do that. Always touching your nose and shifty eye contact. Please avoid a certain negative gestures. You have to be very confident. So you should carry that personality, my dear friends, especially undergraduate students, those who are graduating this year, and the students who are completing their masters. So body language and words should always match. I'm saying something, but my body language is something different. Again, it leads to some other problems. I mean, intended message will not reach the audience. So the next point, sorry. Yeah. So body language in management. So we have 4 bodily gestures. the responsive, reflective, combative, and fidgetive. Okay, responsive, reflective, combative, fidgetive. Let us throw a light on all these, bodily gestures. Responsive, what is that? Engaged. If somebody is engaged, what they do? Leaning forward. When they lean forward, open body, open arms, open hands. What is they're engaged? Okay, somebody is very eager. What is, we call it a sprint position. Open legs, feet on the chair, on toes, leaning forward. Okay, if somebody is ready to agree, closes paper, pen down, hands flat on table. Look at that. You're not communicating. They're not communicating. If you go to interview, you can understand. You pay attention to their body language. We come to know whether the panel is interested in hiring or not. If they're ready to agree to your point, they would close the papers and pen down, hands flat on the table. So these are the responsive, gestures. The reflective are listening. Head tilted, you can make out. If somebody's head is tilted like this, they're listening to you. A lot of eye contact. It means listening is happening. Nodding, high blink rate. Look at that. High blink rate, nodding, a lot of eye contact, head tilted. Easily you can make out they are involved in deep listening. If somebody is evaluating you, they would suck spectacles and pencils. Stroke chin, looks up and right, legs crossed, ankle on knee, if somebody is evaluating. So why I'm giving you all these tips? Because it helps you to improve your communication. You can easily understand the person, what exactly he's thinking about me. If somebody is very attentive, a standing position, arms behind back, smile, open feet. And I'm not giving all these examples from my own examples. I have studied and researched upon, and I have gathered information from the standards, and I included here in the PPT. So these are the reflective, gestures, and the fidgetive, bored, somebody is not interested. Staring into space, it happens. If somebody is not interested, they would stare at, into space. They start looking at the space. This means they're bored. Slumped posture, doodling, foot tapping. You can easily make out they're not interested, they're bored. Somebody let me go. If they want to go, get out of the situation, what they do, feet towards the door. Looking around, we say, when we are not interested in listening something, we start looking around. It means, I want to go now, leave me. And buttoning jacket. If somebody is, buttoning their jacket in the meeting, it means they want to go. So they're all fidgetive gestures. Reject. If somebody is rejecting you, sitting and moving back, arms folded, legs crossed, thigh on knee, head down and frown. Right? You can see your key officials. When you have not done something, you can see all these gestures. Easily you can make out, no, the officials are not happy with my work. Right? Rejection, head down and frown. You can make out when you go for an interview. When you go for an interview, you can understand. So the fidgetive, reflective, and combative. Combative. You want to speak something, let me speak. Finger tapping, foot tapping, staring. And if you're aggressive, leaning forward, finger pointing, fist clenched, you're aggressive. Okay. If you're defiant, hands on hips and frown. Look at that. This is how we have different, the bodily gestures we can make out. You need not to speak a single word, but you can easily understand. So that body language is also very important, my dear friends. And next comes how to improve our body language. How to improve your body language. I'll come to that paralanguage part later. It includes intonation, and it includes how you pronounce the word. But let us talk about the body language. The facial expression. You need to improve your facial expression. Please keep a smile on your face when you talk to people. That makes the difference. The impression you wish to convey. Smile at others, and you should know and how to smile. You can smile always, sometimes, or never. Okay, you should know in which context I have to smile. So keeping a gentle smile on your face is always good, so that you can have a better, professional relationship or personal relationship. So we say, right, few people, oh, she's always smiling. I like that personality. We say some people are like that. So how to improve your body language? Eye communication is very important. Looking at others while speaking or listening to them. It is cultural specific. Again, I'm telling you, looking at others. Where to look while speaking or listening to others, social or private zones. Okay. Period of eye contact while looking at others. Too short. Too short, we call it eye dart. It means if you're not able to fix your eye contact for 5 to 45 seconds, it is called eye dart, and you have this problem. So you are hesitant personality. You don't want to speak confidently. So 45 to 46 contact indicates a proper involvement. So that shows you are involved in listening. The communication is happening there. Slow blink. Slow blink is not listening, not interested. Slow blink. We say that. Okay. It means what? You're not interested. Slow blink. If it is rigorous and you are interested. So you have to overcome all this problem. Eye dart. 1 minute. So, and how to improve your body language? Posture and movement. Upper body, please avoid slouch. So please avoid slouch. A lower body, avoid right and left lean. The best is forward ready position. Remember, mannerisms are dramatically exaggerated during tense movements. Mannerisms, when you are tensed, dramatically exaggerated. You have to be very careful. When you're angry, what do you do? So you use, your body language, dramatically exaggerated. You're not aware of your body language. So when you are, frustrated, don't send an email, because you add up your emotions into your email and you send something else. Please remember, mannerisms are dramatically exaggerated during your tense movement. So we teach this when we teach email writing for students. So you have to be very calm when you send an email. Of course, you will get a scolding. Somebody would blame you for not, completing the assignment, and all these things are very common in any organization. Constructive criticism is required. I would not say key officials should, discourage or they should use a bad language. They should also know how to give a constructive criticism, and we, as an employees, we should take it in a positive way. So mannerisms are dramatically exaggerated. You have to be very careful at workplace when you communicate. You have to take a breathe long breath and then calm down and then communicate. Otherwise, it will lead to further complications. So how to improve body language? Gesture, position of your hands if nervous. It's very important. Should one gesture a lot or not at all? How much gesture is appropriate? You have to be careful about all these things. Okay. And the last one, how to improve your body language, I would say dress and appearance. Again, it is cultural specific and a context specific. Okay, cultural specific. Dress, I would not say the proper business attire is required for industry. I would not. It's a business attire is required. In India, we don't use the proper business attire in the corporate world, but in Western world, it is mandatory. If you're working in a corporate industry, you have to use the traditional business attire. You can see the employees there, but in India, it is very common. People use the formal and semi-formal and sometimes formals. Occasionally, we use formals when we have important meetings. And the context specific, I am telling again, if you go to Arab or Gulf country, they have a different, cultural, things, and you could not insist them to wear the proper business attire. So it is again dress and appearance, cultural and context specific. If you come to South India, we use a sari for ladies, but in Northern India, they would not they use, salwar. So it is common there, but here it is a sari is it's mandatory in the schools and colleges, which is not mandatory in the northern part of India. So it is a cultural and context specific. So that you have to decide which suits. Hair, it's a style, length, and the parting is very important. And nowadays youths are very particular about their hairstyle. They know how to groom themselves. So you should aware of that. And if you, especially boys, and they would keep a beard now. And if you want to keep a beard, yes, you can keep, but you should know how to groom it properly. So that is also, again, if your organization does not entertain you, don't keep a beard. Otherwise, you can groom it properly. So you have to be very careful about it. So face, makeup, and no makeup, which is required. So face, I don't want to comment on this, and makeup should not be there. Because the research has been conducted, and a power makeup is very important, and that enhanced female employees, productivity level. This is what the research has been conducted. They have selected some the greatest personalities like Indra Nooyi and somebody. Many people have written a research that the power makeup enhances confidence of women employees. Again, you should know makeup or no makeup. Sorry, there is an interruption by somebody. And the teeth, brushed and flossed, which is very important. Neck, collar, neck, or necktie, and jewelry, again, it's a cultural and context specific. We should be aware of that. The clothes appropriate for the occasion, clean, ironed, and perfumed. Perfumed, I put it in a bracket. So again, you decide which is required. If it is required, you can use it. Appropriate for the occasion, clean, ironed, and perfumed. Belt and shoes matching. And the most important is a smile. So most important is in a smile. You should have a smile on your face. That makes a lot of difference, my dear friend, especially the leaders and the leaders, key official. They should have a smile on their face. Then they can run their organization very well. So assessing body language, how do you assess a body language? Read the other person's nonverbal behavior. Okay, you have to read the nonverbal behavior of other person. Watch for changes in response to your communications. Also spot mixed messages for when the voice says one thing, body says another. You have to. This can be a sign of attentive, deception. So you have to pay attention to nonverbal behavior of the person whom you are communicating. Watch your own body language too for signs what your subconscious is thinking. Be careful when controlling it, as this can lead to a mixed message from you. You should know how to control it. It's not only paying attention to somebody's, and also you have to pay attention to your own body language. Watch your own and others' nonverbal behavior to improve your understanding of what is going on, especially at the subconscious level. Make conscious decisions. So when you communicate, when you want to say something, you have to make a conscious decisions. So when you listen properly, when you assess a body language of a person, then you would interact with him properly. Otherwise, the communication fails there. So these are some points. Then how to improve your paralanguage? The paralanguage, pronunciation. Again, the pronunciation, clarity, and your accent is very important. As a trainer, because I'm not a trainer, I'm an academician. I have a different opinion on pronunciation, because so many socio-cultural factors are involved when we communicate, especially English language, right? We had teachers who used a native language, in their English, but they were the good teachers. So I don't want to comment on that. I'm not a professional trainer who insists you to speak standard received pronunciation of UK, because in India we have different Englishes. I would not say one English, we have varieties of Englishes. So the clarity is important. And accent, again, cultural aspects are involved, socio-cultural aspects. The way I speak English is different. The way you speak English is different. The way Malayali speaks is different. So it has to be clear. And the accent, people say we have to use received pronunciation, British English, when we want to communicate. So stress is very important. Syllabus, words, and sentences. And intonation is very important, rising and falling of the voice in speaking. And it is phonetics, volume. I'm not touching everything because it's a 1.5 hour webinar. It's not possible to talk on paralanguage at length, but I try to cover most important, the topics. And the volume is very important, degree of loudness, variation, automatic, at will. And the pitch is very important, extent to which the sound, the tone is high, low. Variation, automatic.
Please take care. Ask them to
I
unmute
request Mr. Abhishek to please mute yourself.
Okay. A pitch extent to which your sound tone is high, low, variation, automatic, or at will. The pace is very important. Normal, 80 to 125 words a minute. This is the pace you have to maintain. You have to speak for a minute. And pause, breathe, and effect. Pause is also very important. So these are the some tips I would give you to improve your paralanguage. But as I said, pronunciation, and as an academician, I have a different opinion. I would not agree with the trainers, because trainers say we have to speak English like English. But as an academician, we do a lot of research, and we conclude we have Indian Englishes. But when it comes to interacting with the foreign clients, the company would train you voice modulation and all. You can use it. But we have a different Englishes in India, and we are absolutely fine, okay with Indian Englishes. So how do you improve your paralanguage, voice and delivery? Know your type of voice. So what kind of a voice you have. Recording of everyday telephonic conversation is best. And you can record your conversation and you listen to it, and not mere speaking. Cultivate a voice with resonance, which is very important. Everybody speaks, but cultivating voice with resonance is very important. Not monotone. Acquire variation in delivery, vocal variety. You have to acquire variation in delivery. So otherwise, the people would not listen to you. Required correct posture, correct resonance, and correct breathing is important. So for your paralanguage, so if you want to improve your paralanguage. How do you improve your paralanguage? Final tips: avoid non-words. Okay, modulation, very strength, tone, pitch of a voice. Use pauses for effect. Right? We have to use the pauses. When we write also, we have to use the pauses. We should know this, but the current generation is not aware of punctuations. They don't know how to give a pauses when they communicate also, when they write also. And surprisingly, I'll tell you, the students are not aware of how to use a colon and semicolon in writing. So it applies in communication also. You have to take pauses for effect. Stress your smile. Smile is important. And be empathetic with body language. You have to be very humble. You have to be empathetic. Then the listener takes interest in listening to your speech. Maintain appropriate social distances. Again, we have social distance. We should know when we interact with people. We should know the distances. The way we maintain a distance with our relatives and the family, members and the friends. We cannot have the same distance when you interact with your colleagues. You should know that distance. Okay, so be yourself, which is very important. If you inculcate all these essential skills, definitely your communication becomes effective. As I mentioned earlier, my focus is not on English proficiency. I assume that undergraduation level, students have a minimum proficiency of English. They know how to write and how to speak, but they are not aware of how to, converse, how to communicate effectively using their body language and improving their listening skills, improving their speaking skills. They are lacking in that area. But undergraduate students, because they have done their 10th and 12th and joined undergraduate program, and we assume that they have achieved, a minimum proficiency of a language. It could be Kannada or it could be English, but we take example as an English because, and it is required in the corporate world. So you have to, use all these, tips. You have to inculcate all these essential skills. Then your communication becomes effective. Otherwise, everybody speaks, as I said earlier, and it is a common for us, right? It could be Kannada, or it could be Marathi, or it could be English. We communicate. God has given this gift, but we have to make it very effective when we communicate at workplace. So then only you can achieve your desired result. Otherwise, communication doesn't happen. It would lead to some other problems, as I mentioned in the previous slides. So now I will end up my presentation. It's 1 hour, more than 1 hour continuously. I, discussed various factors. Now I would like to take questions from the participants. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Over to the, organizer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session and sharing your insights with us. It was a privilege having you with us. We have Gurudevi ma'am who has joined us.
Yeah.
And she is very much pleased having you here. And she has put a couple of messages on the YouTube chat as well.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you hear us? Okay.
Ma'am is not there.
She says she's very much proud that of you, and also that you are her student and that you have grown to such a great height. And she calls you to be the pride of Lingraj College.
Yes, ma'am. We are also, we were lucky to have a professor like Dr. Gurudevi, wonderful personality,
yes, sir.
Knowledge, wisdom. I mean, I don't have words to, explain, and a wonderful personality. We always, enjoyed her classes, literature classes, and who motivated us.
Yes.
Thank you, madam, once again.
Even I am her student, so even I'm very proud that she has taught me. Everybody, there are no questions that I can see, but I can definitely see a lot of appreciation from all the participants. But I request all the participants if they have anything to ask regarding this particular topic. No?
No questions? Oh, I'm very, very happy to take a few questions. Or any observations? I don't take only questions. If you have a different observation, if you want to add up something, I would appreciate that. Because learning is endless process. We have to learn. Every day we learn. Any observation from the participants' end? So my friend is there, Sudha Chikmat. So she was my batchmate. We studied together. I can see here.
Participants?
No questions? So see, two things are there. One is if I don't get any question, I would interpret, oh, students and the participants got enough in a knowledge. Or other way, they did not understand, so that they're not giving feedback now. The feedback is very important, right? That is the deciding factor we discussed. If you give me feedback, that helps me to improve. I expect that as a speaker, I expect feedback from the participant side.
So there's a question here from Vidya
Yes.
Rani. She
Yes,
asks, like, can she become a professor after completion of BSc?
of course, this though she can. After BSc, it's not possible. She has to do a master's in her specialization. I don't know. She has to do master's, and she has to qualifying examination, either set or net, or she can join with her master's as a lecturer. So it's possible.
Maybe I believe she's trying to say that she's a BSc student and wants to be a professor in English. Is that going to be possible?
Of course, that RCU gives a provision for
Yeah.
BSc students to pursue masters in English. Even Karnataka, earlier it was not there, but now it is open. If you studied, basic English and additional English at undergraduation level, you can go ahead and pursue masters in English. In fact, the science background, the people, they have excelled in this field. I have seen few examples. So because of their the language, and they pick up concepts quickly. She can pursue her masters in English. She has to check with the university authorities regarding this. I think there is a provision, as per my knowledge. Yes, there is a provision.
Yes, Vidya Rani, I hope you have got your answer. We have a lot of appreciation. There are people saying very informative session, very interesting, well organized presentation. So yes, sir, all the positive responses that we have received on YouTube and also on the Zoom. So if there
Thank
are
you.
no questions, sir, thank you once again very much
Thank
for
you very
joining us.
much. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. H.K. Banur sir, and who is heading the department at RLS Science Institute, and the principal madam, and Divya madam, and very important Kaylee Society management board of members for giving me this opportunity to interact with your students and your faculty members. I hope we would meet again, and we will have more interactive sessions in future. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And also, I would like to thank Nataraj sir. He was coordinating master programs when we were studying, and he and Banu sir together approached me. I thank him also. My personal regards to Nataraj sir also. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Coming to the end of this wonderful event, I, on behalf of the organizers, management, principal, and staff, would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude. I express my deep sense of appreciation to our resource person, Dr. Kiran Kumar Natali, for instigating and exposing us to various aspects of communication skills. Thank you very much, sir. It was a great pleasure having you here. My sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar, ma'am, for her constant guidance and everlasting support. Thank you, ma'am. I also extend my thanks to Dr. Satisha MP, IQAC coordinator, for his support. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation to Shri H.N. Bannur, convener and head Department of English, for steering this webinar towards success. Thank you, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels of start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues of KLE's RLSI, who are well versed at their job and are result oriented. My heartfelt thanks to them. Lastly, my sincere thanks to all the participants from various parts of the country for joining us today, without whom this webinar wouldn't be successful. A small note, participants kindly please note that feedback link will be sent to you all to the registered email ID, and certificates will be generated only after the successful submission of this form. Now, I would like to conclude this remarkable and knowledgeable event. Once again, a very big thank you to all of you for sparing your valuable time with us. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.